Yes, good morning. I'd like to bring the December 6, 2023 Planning Advisory Commission meeting to order. Official start of this meeting is 9 a.m. Could you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, if you could please silence or turn off your cell phones, thank you. I remind those in the audience and those watching on TV that this is the first hearing of any rezoning, text change, or special exception request brought before us today. We will first hear a reading of the staff report for the case by planning staff and ask the applicant to provide a brief overview of the request. We will then give the opportunity for anyone in the audience to speak for or against that request or to inquire about said request. The commissioners will have any needed discussion on the case. Once a motion is made and seconded by the commission, a vote will take place and a recommendation will be rendered. The case will go back to the planning department for their independent recommendation. If a favorable recommendation is given, then the case is forwarded to the city council with 2 independent recommendations. If the planning department makes a recommendation for denial, the applicant will have 10 days from the receipt of the letter stating the denial to notify the clerk of council that they are requesting to be placed on the city council's agenda. The City Council of Columbus will hold a public meeting called the first reading. Said council shall consider the case, review Planning Advisory Commission and Planning Department recommendations, and hear discussions on the matter. Council will make a final decision at a second public meeting called the second reading. All right. All right, our first agenda today is to approve the minutes from the previous meeting. Does any commissioner have any questions about the previous meeting? All right. Would somebody like to make a motion to approve the minutes? Mr. Baker, second. All in favor, raise your right hand. All right. That brings us to our first case of the day, REZN-10-23-1988. A request to rezone 0.22 acres of land located at 4228 3rd Avenue. Current zoning is light manufacturing, industrial, LMI zoning district. Proposed zoning is residential multifamily 1, RMF 1 zoning district. Proposed use is multifamily residential. Alice Bowen, Dorneal Enterprises is the applicant. The property is located in Council District 8, Garrett. Could we please hear from staff?
Good morning. This property located on 3rd Avenue is an existing residential property. There is one building in the front and then another behind it. And the entire street right now is zoned LMI, but the planning department is going to be extending an offer to rezone those 2 blocks from LMI to RMF1. We moved Alice and Mr. Ricky up because their house was on the demolition list. And because of that timing, we had to move them forward, and then we're going to start with the remaining houses on the street later.
Okay. Does any commissioner have any questions concerning the staff report? All right, would the applicant please come forward, state your name and address for the record, and give us an overview of your request? Sir or madam, if you could go to this podium over here, please.
Alice Bowens, 4228 3rd Avenue.
All right, could you give us an overview of what you plan on doing?
Well, we're taking and renovating the property, beautifying it, replacing the roofs, and we've done an extensive amount of work up there already on cleaning the property, and it makes the neighborhood look much better. And I see some of the people in the neighborhood have started cleaning their property and doing different things. So we're gonna make it look real good.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Any questions from commissioners for the applicant? Okay. Is there anybody in the audience like to speak in favor of this request? Is there anybody in the audience like to speak against this request? All right. Is there any other additional discussion among commissioners before we make a motion? Would a commissioner like to make a motion? Yes, Mr. King.
Good morning. Regarding case REZN 1023-1988, a request to rezone .22 acres of land located at 4228 3rd Avenue, I make a motion that we accept this request based on the fact it's compatible with future and existing land uses.
You would like to second it? All right, Mr. Dudley, all in favor, raise your right hand. All right, it's unanimous, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. This brings us to our second case of the day, REZN-10-23-2056, a request to rezone .19 acres of land located at 3300 6th Avenue. Current zoning is residential multifamily, RMF2 zoning district. Proposed zoning is residential multifamily, RMF1 zoning district. Proposed use is a single-family residential. Sarah Clark is the applicant. The property is located in Council District 8, Garrett. Could we please hear from staff?
This request is to rezone this property from RMF2 to RMF1 so that they can build a single-family residential home, which is allowed in RMF1 but not in RMF2. The only comments from other departments was from engineering, and they requested the driveway be located off of 6th Avenue, not 33rd. And then this lot will meet all of the required size and other regulations that come with our RMF1. We received no calls about this.
Are any questions from commissioners concerning this rezoning? All right. Is there anybody in this audience who'd like to speak in favor of this rezoning? Anybody like to speak against? All right. I'm sorry, I didn't bring you up here first. I'll speak for and against. Yeah, if you could please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, please.
Sarah Clark, 3602 3rd Avenue. And we're wanting to build a single-family home for the future of our family and also as a part of the True Spring project that's happening on 6th Avenue.
Got any questions from commissioners concerning this? Yes, Mr. Dudley.
Are y'all okay with moving the driveway?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, any other questions? All right, would the commissioner like to make a motion then? Yes, Mr. Baker.
When it comes to REZN 10-23-2056, a request to rezone .19 acres of land located at 3300 6th Avenue. Current zoning is residential multifamily. Proposed zoning is residential multifamily 1. The proposed use is single-family residential. I make a motion that we accept this.
A second. All right, Mr. Dudley, all in favor, raise your right hand. All right, it is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
That brings us to our third case today, a text amendment, REZN-11-23-2222, a request for a text amendment to amend section 6.2.2 of the Unified Development Ordinance, which is the UDO, in regards to resource conservation subdivisions. The planning department is the applicant. Please hear from planning. Yes, ma'am.
This request is to amend Section 6 of the UDO for resource conservation subdivisions, specifically the approval process. This change would have, what they're requesting to change is that this would go before PAC for a recommendation and then to City Council for final approval. Currently, if it meets all the criteria, it just goes through staff approval, not through Planning Commission or through City Council. This would just change that so that it gives it a little more discretion to look at the project.
Any idea if there was any case in particular that caused council to want a role in this?
I think just to have more oversight in the process. There's only currently one resource conservation subdivision, and if you looked at that ordinance, it's pretty difficult to meet all the criteria. So it takes a long time. It takes someone dedicated to do that. So I don't think it'll impede any development process.
Which subdivision would that be?
Heiferhorn Farms.
Heiferhorn Farms, okay.
Thank you.
All right. All right, any other questions for staff? Yes,
I do have one other question. Can you briefly just tell us what, what the difference is between a resource conservation subdivision and a pretty standard subdivision would be?
Yes, it's quite different. It allows for a little more flexibility in order to preserve more land or to preserve an area that's got a stream or some kind of natural resource on it. So you can build the roads to different standards. Instead of sidewalks, you can have trails, but you do have to dedicate part of that land and work with either the city and set up a permanent conservation easement or a 501c3 to preserve that land forever so that it can't ever be developed.
Are there any other questions from commissioners? All right, would a commissioner like to make a motion to approve the text amendment? Yes, Mr. Coon?
I'll make a motion on this one. REZN 11-23-22-22, a request for a text amendment to amend section 6.2.2 of the UDO in regards to resource conservation subdivisions. I'd like to make a motion that the PAC approves this change.
Second. Yes, Mr. Dudley. All in favor, raise your right hand. All righty. Is there any other business from commissioners we need to discuss? Our next meeting will be January the 17th, 2024.
I just had a quick question.
Yes, sir.
Do we have any update or a date set for the Moore Road rezoning?
I haven't heard anything since they started their traffic impact study. That can usually take quite a while.
You get a question, Mr. Dudley? I'm sorry. All right, would a commissioner like to make a motion to adjourn? All right, all those in favor, raise your right hand. All right, we're adjourned.